Good afternoon, everyone. It is Steve Lookner with Right Side Broadcasting coming to you with a news alert. Kentucky Senator Rand Paul was assaulted, it was revealed by Kentucky State Police today, in his home. He sustained minor injuries, and a 59-year-old man was arrested for the assault. Now, I'm not sure if this happened today or yesterday or what day exactly it happened on, so I'm going to show you what information I have right now about this, and I'll let you decide what you think about it. But again, Kentucky State Police revealed, this just came out in the last half hour or so, that Rand Paul was assaulted in his home in Kentucky, or at his home in Kentucky, and state police in Kentucky said that they arrested a 59-year-old man for this. Ron Paul suffered minor injuries, so I'm going to get you the details that I have on this. It's a very odd story, not a lot of details so far, but would love to hear what you think if you have any theories on this. So please write to me at Lookner on Twitter, @Lookner, Lookner. So let me show you, one of the big stories about this was in The Hill. It's very odd here. So they say, Rand Paul assaulted at Kentucky home, police. So let's look at the story. It's very short, not many details yet about this. Kentucky State Police have arrested a person accused of assaulting Senator Rand Paul at his home in Kentucky, the senator's office confirmed on Saturday. Senator Paul was blindsided and the victim of an assault, said a spokeswoman for Paul. The assailant was arrested and is now a matter for the police. Senator Paul is fine. The suspect was identified as 59-year-old Renee Boucher of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Now, I don't know where in Kentucky Rand Paul's home is. Is it in Bowling Green, or did this person come from Bowling Green to Senators? Did this person like a neighbor, or did they drive from far away? I'm not sure about that. I have to check on that. And police are investigating the assault. According to the statement, Boucher has been charged with assault causing a minor injury. So apparently Rand Paul suffered a minor injury being assaulted in his home. Let's see if we can get any more detail about this. I saw a photo supposedly of the person. Here we go. This is from WBKO 13 ABC. I presume they're in Kentucky. They have this photo on their site of Renee Boucher, Bousher. I thought it was Boucher. That's what The Hill said. Well, different spellings. The Hill said Boucher. See? But there it is. But let's go back here. Supposedly that is the person arrested, Renee Boucher. Assault 4th degree causing a minor injury. Bond $5,000. Court date November 9th. Intake date, oh, that's interesting. Intake date last night. So it looks like this happened last night because his intake date was November 3rd, 8:51 p.m. White male, 59 years of age, and he right now is being held in regional jail. So let's see what else this article says here. On Friday, the Kentucky State Police responded to Rand Paul's residence in Bowling Green. Okay, so Rand Paul's residence is in Bowling Green. This guy who was arrested is a resident of Bowling Green. It says, when they arrived, troopers say they discovered that Renee Boucher, 59 of Bowling Green, now it's Boucher, intentionally assaulted Senator Rand Paul, causing minor injury. Boucher was arrested and charged with one count of assault, 4th degree minor injury, and taken to the Warren County Detention Center. Warren County Regional Jail has the spelling listed as Renee Albert, Bousher. So we don't know how exactly his last name is spelled. So the questions I have, is this a neighbor of Rand Paul? He lives in Bowling Green. Could this have been, I mean, look, you think of somebody, maybe it's somebody who doesn't like Rand Paul's politics. Could this have been a neighbor who was upset with Rand Paul over some neighbor issue? I honestly have no idea. What do you think about this? Let me know. Write to me on Twitter, @Lookner. I'm going to get to some of your comments right now. What do you think is the deal with this person from Bowling Green who was arrested for assaulting, blindsiding Rand Paul at Rand Paul's house last night, causing minor injury to Rand Paul. What do you think? By the way, this is Right Side Broadcasting. broadcasting. If you want to know when we come on the air with these breaking news videos, click the subscribe on YouTube and then click the notifications bell. And also, if you like our coverage, I'm guessing the mainstream media won't spend too much time on the story today, but if you like our coverage, please consider making a donation, because your donations are what keep us on the air. We can't stay on the air without your support. So if you want to donate, you can go to the bottom of the YouTube chat and click on the little dollar sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And thank you so much to the moderators for moderating the chat rooms today. So let me know, what do you think about this? Do you think this was somebody who was maybe a Democrat who attacked Rand Paul for being Republican? Do you think this was some kind of neighbor issue? It's a little bit strange, because if the person was there at the house and assaulted Rand Paul and they really intended to attack him and they blindsided him, you would think they could cause more than minor injury. If you only, you'd think if this guy showed up at Rand Paul's house and he was like, I'm going to beat up Rand Paul, and he blindsided Rand Paul, you would think he might have done a lot of damage, although maybe Rand Paul's a really tough guy and he fought the guy off. I don't know. It's kind of confusing. Or maybe the police just got there really fast. Or maybe Rand Paul was chasing Rand Paul around the house. I have no idea what happened. But I'd be interested in knowing what you think about this. So write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. Give me your theories. Mike Crusader 99 writes in, it's too bad, I really like at Rand Paul, sad face. Well, the good news is that Rand Paul only sustained minor injuries according to the stories we've read. Kind of an odd story. Let's see if I can find any more details about this. I'm going to search my Twitter feed here and see if I can find any more details about this odd Rand Paul story about him being assaulted, blindsided at his home. Does he not have security at his home? Like, is there not a gate around the home? I'd be interested in knowing that as well. How is this guy? You'd think people can't just drive up and walk up to Rand Paul's front door. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they can. I don't know. Nicholas writes in, very strange, never heard nothing like this. And this is one of the reasons I was wondering, is this maybe a neighbor thing? Is this somebody who lived on his street or in his housing area where they would, let's say he lives in a gated community, doesn't have to be a crazy fancy one, but let's say he lives in a gated community. Maybe this person who lives there is someone who's in the gated community. So there is no, that person would be allowed to be on Rand Paul's street. I don't know. Could this person have been a repairman of some sort? That's another possibility. Could this be somebody Rand Paul is friendly with? That's another possibility. I just don't know right now. But I would like to get your theories. Steven says, glad he is okay. Is it Rene Boucher? This person who was arrested? Yeah, Rene Boucher. This is the person who's arrested. Steven says, is Boucher a Democrat? No idea. Again, when you first hear that Rand Paul has been blindsided at his home, you think, oh, this must be like a Democrat who hates Rand Paul and is trying to attack him. But then you hear, well, it was only minor injuries. And then you start thinking, wait, would a random person be able to just walk up to Rand Paul's house and assault him? So that made me start thinking, is this maybe a neighbor or somebody who lives nearby or knows Rand Paul? Or could this be a neighborly dispute? Hard to say, but would love to get your thoughts on this. Write to me on Twitter at Lookner. Okay, I was going to do a quick search and see if I can find anything more about this. Let's see if I can. Let's see. I have another post here by somebody named Daniel Pike, who's a managing editor of the Bowling Green Daily News, where this took place. Daniel Pike says, Kentucky State Police say man is accused of assaulting Rand Paul. We'll go to the Bowling Green Daily News, but this says a warrant of arrest was issued. This investigation was arrested by Trooper Bartley Weaver, charged with 1 count of assault, 4th degree minor injury, and lodged in the Warren County Detention Center. Let's see if the Bowling Green Daily News has anything more about this. Big headlines in Bowling Green. Of course, this is where this took place. Bowling Green man charged with assaulting Paul at Senator's home. This is from the Bowling Green Daily News, so they should have the scoop. Let's see if there's any more details here. $5,000 bond. Paul suffered minor injuries. Paul's communications director in Kentucky says he's fine. said he was blindsided and the victim of an assault. Here we go. Here's some more details. Troopers were called to the Paul residence at 3:21 yesterday. So this happened in the afternoon yesterday, 3:21 p.m. Friday. According to the release, Boucher was arrested by Trooper Bartley Weaver and charged with assaulting Paul. Let's see. Steve is not the stupidest person. Check this out. The Warren County Property Valuation Administrator's website lists an address for Rene Boucher, which is in the gated neighborhood just east of Bowling Green. So I thought he was maybe in the same gated neighborhood, but it looks like this person, Rene Boucher, lived in the gated neighborhood just east of Bowling Green, where Paul resides. So he doesn't live in Bowling Green, but he lives nearby. Okay. An arrest warrant was issued. Further charges could be brought based on the extent of Paul's injuries. That's interesting. So is the idea like if Ron Paul starts like feeling headaches and he has a concussion, he goes to the doctor, he's diagnosed with a concussion, then maybe the charges could be greater, because it would be, if the charges of assault depend on how much the person is injured, the Ron Paul's diagnosis could change. But for right now, all we hear is that he has minor injuries and injuries, and that his spokesperson said he's doing fine. The investigation is continuing. By the way, we got a donation. Thank you, Timberlab. God is Great gave $5 and said, great job, Steve. Thank you, Timberlab. Those donations are what keep us on the air. If you want to support Right Side Broadcasting and allow us to keep covering stories for you, you can go to the bottom of the YouTube chat and click on the $ at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Also follow us on Twitter at RSB Network and on Facebook at Right Side Broadcasting. And if you like our video, feel free to share it on Facebook and like it on YouTube. We love when you do that, because that spreads the word about Right Side Broadcasting. So we are covering this story that yesterday in the afternoon, Ron Paul was assaulted at his Kentucky home by a man who reportedly lives the next town over from him, a 59-year-old man named Rene Boucher, this person right here. And Paul suffered minor injuries. This person is in custody now, has been charged with assault causing a minor injury. And we're taking your comments here, trying to figure out why this might have happened. We don't know if he's a Democrat. We don't know if he's somebody who knew Rand Paul. Don't know what the deal is. Red Leaf says a Google search finds a doctor in Bowling Green with his name, an anesthesiologist. But now this article said that, it's in the Bowling Green Daily News, it said that his address was on River Green Lane, which is in the gated neighborhood just east of Bowling Green. So they seem to imply that he doesn't live in Bowling Green. Not sure right now. Not sure. Let's see. DJ Slash says even more reason to protect the Second Amendment, because the lunatics are on the loose. Adam says, hey, Steve, some places are reporting it's a female doctor anesthesiologist. The reason is this person has the same name and from Bowling Green. So if you're hearing reports of a female, that seems to be wrong, because the Bowling Green Daily News is showing a picture of a man and saying a Bowling Green man. So it's certainly, and this person does not, according to them, live in Bowling Green. So perhaps there is somebody, Rene Boucher. People were saying if you Google search, you get a Rene Boucher in Bowling Green, but that doesn't look like that's the person who did this. So I'll even search it for you. If I search it, I get, so there's somebody named Dr. Rene Boucher in Bowling Green, but it reportedly, if this person is a woman, it can't be the person arrested, because the person arrested is a man. And also, this person's office is in Bowling Green, but this man, according to the Bowling Green Daily News, does not live in Bowling Green. He lives the next town over. So it looks like there might be a Dr. Rene Boucher who has their office in Bowling Green, who is going to be getting a lot of phone calls about this, unfortunately, because it might not be them who actually was the Rene Boucher near Bowling Green who was arrested in Bowling Green. Thank you for writing in and filling me in on that. Yeah, see, people are now. I don't know if this is now. Maybe this Rene Boucher is a doctor. Maybe it's the same person. I can't tell. But again, if it's a woman, it's not him, because this is the person arrested. This is the person arrested, Rene Boucher, and we don't know if this person is a doctor or not. Now, it's possible that this person has this address not in Bowling Green, but has their office in Bowling Green, in which case they would be listed as a doctor in Bowling Green, but also it would be true, as the Bowling Green Daily News said, that their address is not in Bowling Green, their home address, so we don't know. Thank you, Renee Ibar Lucia, for your donation very much. Very kind of you. We appreciate it. Let's see, I'm looking for your comments. Also, Renee Ibar Lucia gave a comment with his or her donation, I'm not sure. Keep in mind that a gang pedophilia has taken over our beautiful stationary flat earth. Vegas is a false flag, and energy weapons used in Northern California. I can confirm none of those stories. I don't have evidence of them, but we don't censor you here at Right Side Broadcasting unless something is like patently offensive or dirty. So we try to keep the censorship to a minimum. Anyways, Renee, thank you again for the donation. Now, I was sent a story by Lynn Jean, which says this person arrested is a doctor. So let's see, maybe it's the same person, not a female doctor, a male doctor. Let's see, hold on a second. Let me get the story that Lynn Jean sent me up on the screen here. So we know the person arrested was Rene Boucher. We know that person's a man. We know they have a home. He's 59. We know he has a home address near Bowling Green. But the question is it this doctor who's also listed as a Bowling Green doctor? So Lynn Jean sent me this from WKDZ FM. And they say doctor arrested for assaulting Senator Paul. It says a Bowling Green physician. State police, now they're saying that state police is saying he's an anesthesiologist. That's interesting because the Bowling Green Daily News did not have any of this information. So in this article, it says Boucher's an anesthesiologist, and so it looks like maybe he has his office in Bowling Green, but he lives near Bowling Green. Anyway, so thank you, Lynn Jean, for sending me that in. So it looks like maybe this person is a doctor. Red Leaf says the doctor's middle name is Albert. I have no idea. I have not seen this confirmed anywhere else. Let's see. Oh, Red Leaf sent me a profile that he or she found. I can't speak to the accuracy of this profile, but I'll show you what Red Leaf sent me. This is from ZocDoc. So Red Leaf sent me this profile that he or she had found of an anesthesiologist named Rene Boucher with an office in Kentucky. Or 2 offices in Kentucky? Anyhow, I can't confirm that this is the Rene Boucher who was arrested, by the way. I can't confirm that. But thank you for showing me what you've found in your investigations. Lieutenant Jen Spartan says he or she, I assume it's a he, found a Facebook page maybe belonging to the person. Let's see if we can see what that is. I can't verify this. For all I know, it's a fake Facebook page, but we'll see what it says. No, this Facebook page is for an anesthesiologist in San Francisco. So I'm not going to show this. It says San Francisco. The person lives in Bowling Green. So also, this doesn't really look like the person in the picture. So I'm not going to show that on the air. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't want to show somebody's profile who's not the person. And this says the person's in San Francisco. So I'm not going to show that page. If you have any thoughts on this story, on supposedly now it's looking like a doctor, if that report we read from the radio station WKDZ is correct, a doctor, 59-year-old anesthesiologist, assaulted Rand Paul at Rand Paul's house around 3 p.m. yesterday, and then he was arrested, and then Rand Paul suffered minor injuries, and this doctor works in Bowling Green. It looks like, but it looks like their address is the next town over from Bowling Green, maybe their home address. So kind of confusing what went on here. We just got another donation from Renee Ibarlucia. Thank you, Renee, very much. Renee says, make sure you patrol your area. Antifa is sabotaging cars and infrastructure, reporting from Sunset Beach, California. I have seen no news reports out there about Antifa sabotaging cars and infrastructure today, just to clarify. But thank you again, Renee, for your donations. And Adam sent me another link to another site reporting this is a doctor. I'll show that link in a second. Oh, so this is the same story that was on all these radio stations. Maybe use the same nerd news service, or they're owned by the same people because it's the same story we already read. It's just a different radio station. Whee! Maybe they operate out of the same building or something like that. So same story. Okay, so let me just see if I can get you any more details on this. Anything that's breaking now about this. It's a little weird that the Bowling Green Daily News, who you think would have the most up-to-date information, doesn't have any information about this guy being a doctor, if that's true that he's a doctor. Ace Trades gave $2. Thank you, Ace Trades, and said, Steve, did you get your haircut? Looking good. Thank you for noticing, Ace Trades. Someone noticing. I got it cut yesterday, thank you. I feel better having it cut. So what we know about this assault, again, is that Senator Paul was blindsided. He sustained minor injuries of some sort. There's a 59-year-old man under arrest who reportedly has an address right near in the next town over from Bowling Green, where Rand Paul lives, and we've heard some reporting from radio stations that he is an anesthesiologist who works in Bowling Green. That's all we know right now. And he's being held on $5,000 bail, and he's being held in a jail there in Kentucky. Fox News reporting this as well now. Inside his home. Inside his home. What? Whoa. I didn't know it was supposed to be inside his home. I thought maybe it was outside his home. Let's see this. Where does it say this? Did I miss it? I don't know. Maybe they read this. I didn't see anything saying inside the home. And they say, according to WBKO, Fox says, according to WBKO, he was assaulted inside his home. But I go to the actual article on WBKO, and I don't think it says anything about inside his home. It says police responded to his residence. It says, I don't see anything here about inside the home. So I'm not going to go with that yet because, oh, Boucher was an acquaintance. Boucher was an acquaintance. Look. Oh, I got to tweet this out. Hold on a second. Kentucky. Sorry, I'm just tweeting this out. So give me 1 second here. Kentucky State Police. Man who assaulted Rand Paul at Paul's home was an acquaintance. How about that? He was an acquaintance. So maybe they were friends. says FBI is involved in making sure it wasn't politically motivated. Trevor Lynch gave $2. Thank you so much, Trevor Lynch. Trevor Lynch's comment is, Bill Clinton forces himself about women. Now, that's not really relevant to this broadcast, but we do appreciate your donation. If you'd like to keep RSBN on the air, if you like that we do these kind of broadcasts and you like our coverage, please consider donating. Your donations are what keeps us on the air. So you can subscribe to us by going to, you can donate to us by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat and clicking on the $sign, or going to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube and click the notifications bell so you know when we're coming on the air with these videos. Thank you again to the moderators who've been moderating the chat rooms today. Let's see. So we keep getting more information about this. This person, this is kind of breaking news on this story. The person arrested for this was an acquaintance of Ron Paul. How about that? Oh, Tommy Deplorable says, remember Paul is a doctor too. Sorry, I said Ron Paul, Rand Paul. My bad. I think I said Ron Paul. Hang on a second here. This is a good point. So Rand Paul is a physician. That's an excellent point made by Tommy Deplorable. So perhaps Rand Paul and Rene Boucher, who assaulted him, knew each other from being doctors. They're roughly the same age. Boucher is 59, Rand Paul is 54. Maybe this was some argument over some doctor business or something, or a patient. Who knows what it is? Excellent point, Tommy Deplorable. Okay, so I'm going to try to find a little more details about this story. So we found out that the person who assaulted Rand Paul in his house apparently was an anesthesiologist who works in Bowling Green, was an acquaintance of Ron Paul, and Ron Paul is also a doctor. And what else do we know? FBI is making sure it wasn't politically motivated, so we're not positive whether it was or it wasn't at this point. Fascinating information about this Rand Paul story. What could it have been? What could it have been? This altercation. What was it about? Politico is now reporting it too. See, the story's getting out there. Let's see if they have any new information. We've seen all this stuff before. It was yesterday in the afternoon. Let's look up WBKO. What does their story have now? Same details? Let's see. They responded to the residents. We don't know if this was inside or outside of the residence. Troopers say Senator Paul was not transported to the hospital. He did not go to the hospital. He was blindsided. He was an acquaintance. They're making sure it wasn't politically motivated. This is the person's picture down here. Rene Boucher, who assaulted Rand Paul, allegedly. It's interesting, he was arrested in the afternoon, and yet his intake date was 8:51 p.m. So basically, did he just like sit around for 5 hours before he saw a judge and then they officially took him in? Maybe that's what happened. Now, I don't know, for all you know, we don't know what this assault, he was blindsided, but does that mean like the guy tackled Rand Paul, or like did he punch Rand Paul from behind? Blindsided is an interesting term. Or, maybe they were talking to each other. Blindsided could mean they were talking to each other, they were having an argument about something, and then when Rand Paul turned around, Boucher hit him or something. Thank you, Hank Hill, for sending the picture. Yes, we've been showing his picture on the broadcast. If you have any theories on what caused this, what led an acquaintance of Rand Paul's, a fellow doctor who lives nearby and works in Bowling Green, apparently, to assault Rand Paul and blindside him, causing minor injury, let me know. Write to me on Twitter, @Lookner, @LOOKNER. We'll be on for a few more minutes here covering this. Just an odd story. Debbie writes in lovers quarrel. Debbie, I have heard no evidence that their in relationship was at all that kind of relationship. See if there are any more details here. Associated Press is now reporting the story. Everybody's reporting on it now. They have no new news. They have nothing. We haven't talked about it. They did say an automated phone system at the jail did not provide access to lawyer information for Boucher. Trying to find anything new about this. And I'm guessing, in a lot of the press, it might be portrayed as like this person hated Rand Paul's politics or something, but we don't know that. And we know this person was an acquaintance, so it looks like it might not have been politically motivated at all. You don't know. Maybe there's an acquaintance who had a political grudge against Rand Paul. I just retweeted a tweet about Saudi Arabia. By the way, when we wrap up this stream, we're going to do another stream about the missile that got shot down over Saudi Arabia today, which I meant to do a stream on earlier, but we wanted to come on and report on this news for you. So let me just take a couple minutes here and just figure out if there's any more information on this Rand Paul story before we wrap it up. If you have any comments on the story, any theories about why this happened, write to me on Twitter at Lookner, at Lookner. And again, thank you for your donations. Your donations keep us on the air. That allows us to cover a story like this and all the other stories we cover. We cover all kinds of news here at Right Side Broadcasting. So if you like our broadcast, you can donate by going to the bottom of the YouTube chat and clicking on the $sign at the bottom of the YouTube chat, or go to rsbn.tv/donate, rsbn.tv/donate. And I see some of the moderators. Thank you to the moderators today. And the ones in the YouTube chat I see right now are Barbara and Lynn Jean, and JC is there. JC, do you ever sleep? Because I don't think I've ever come on for maybe once or something. I've come on for a stream and you haven't been in the chat room. So you are always on call. Which is I'm not complaining, JC, but I hope you're getting your rest. Adam sent a link. CNN has a story up about this now. I'll read you that one too. I'm not going to read the whole thing because a lot of it's probably just repeating what we've heard. Here's the CNN story. Now, why can't CNN everything's got to be Trump with CNN? So like on this story, the video accompanying the story is Rand Paul says Trump beat him at golf. It has nothing to do with the story, and yet CNN has to make everything about Trump. Intentionally assaulted Paul. We heard that before. 59-year-old guy, Rene Boucher, arrested. We heard that before. We've heard from another source, a radio station there, that he's an anesthesiologist. Paul suffered minor injuries. No real new news here in this article. Paul was blindsided, says Paul's communications director in Kentucky, which we'd heard before. No new news there. Fran, thank you for your link. We've already looked at the Bowling Green Daily News article, but thank you. WB says, I bet you there's a backstory here. So now this person was an acquaintance of Rand Paul. So look, this could have been some kind of personal beef that they've been having for a long time. You just don't know. We don't know right now. Unless you're Rand Paul. If you're Rand Paul, you probably know. All right, I'm going to give it another minute here. I'm not finding any new information about this. So I think we've kind of done what we need to do in terms of getting the latest information. Trump Sword made a donation, $10. Thank you, Trump Sword. That's so kind of you. Trump Sword says RSBN is the best. JC is a warrior. Amy B says the payment on a $5,000 bond is $500. A doctor can't come up with $500. So what you're saying is the doctor is being held in custody supposedly. This is a good question. So is Rene Boucher currently in custody? Let's see. Because the bond we saw was $5,000, but that was when he was taken in at 8:51 p.m. So he couldn't have gotten out before that. Even though he was arrested in the afternoon, he couldn't have gotten out before this because it looks like they didn't process him, take him in. I assume that bond number wasn't even decided on until 8:51 p.m. But, it's possible he's already out of that jail. Let's see here. No, it says here, Bowling Green Daily News says he's in the, all right, so this is what it says. It says he's in the Warren County Regional Jail in lieu of a $5,000 bond, according to jail records, online jail records. So at least online jail records says he's still there, and our viewer, Amy B, wrote in, hey, if the payment on a $5,000 bond is $500. Now, I'm not sure how it works there and with bonds and, what the payment is exactly there for a bond. Can you pay less and as a deposit or something? So but even if it's $5,000, you'd think he could probably come out with that money if he's just going to get the money back when he shows up in court, and rather than being in jail. Although it's possible that the online jail records just aren't updated frequently, and maybe maybe late last night or this morning he paid the bond, and he's now out, and they just haven't updated their online records yet. Barbara Thomas says, big debates going on in Kentucky about state pensions. No idea if this might be related to this assault. Tommy Deplorable says, CNN, the most trusted name in propaganda. Yeah, so Just Me says Fox reported the assault was inside the home. The problem with that is Fox News said the assault was inside the home, but they said the source for that was this radio station, and then we looked up the radio station's article, and the radio station article didn't mention inside the home. It just said police were called to the residence. So the source that Fox cited for that report isn't reporting that. That's why I'm not saying it was definitely inside the home. Hamfried says, is the whole November 4th Antifa thing just a big joke? No news about any riots anywhere. So you're talking about the November 4th protests, which were not Antifa protests. They were a group that was different from Antifa. Some people thought maybe some Antifa people would join the protest or do something alongside it. I haven't heard much going on from those things. I'm going to do some research when I get off the air, but I haven't heard anything like huge going on with those today. Okay, I think at this point we are going to wrap up this stream. I want to do a stream about what's going on in Saudi Arabia today, which we'll do in a little bit of time. So if you want to know when that stream's coming on the air, subscribe to us on YouTube, click the notifications bell. When you subscribe, click the notifications bell. That's why you'll get a notification whenever we come on the air. Also, you can follow us at Facebook, at Right Side Broadcasting. On Twitter, you can follow us at RSB Network. I am on Twitter at Lookner. I post about breaking news all the time. I'll post more about this story if I hear more news about it later. So you can follow me on Twitter at Lookner. Thanks again to everybody who donated. We so appreciate it. Your donations keep us on the air. Thank you to all the moderators on the website. I don't know if this is up on the website yet, but if it is, our moderators there are Glenn O and Common Sense. And in the YouTube chat, we got Guinevere, Barbara Braley, Roger Vega, JC. They're all there today. Lynn Jean. Thank you, everybody, for writing in your news tips and sharing those articles you shared with me. Thank you for saying thank you. People saying thanks in the chat room. We got Wally World there saying thanks. Thank you. Jan Wood says you got no notice we were live. So, by the way, if you're not getting notifications about our broadcast, you might want to check the bell. You have to click a bell on YouTube for notifications. And then even when you click the bell, you got to go into like your notification settings and make sure you've chosen to get all the like notifications. And so I've heard people say, well, I had the bell clicked and then I checked and the bell wasn't clicked anymore. So if you're not getting notifications, double check that you've clicked that bell and double check your notification settings, because I've heard stories of them suddenly changing for people and they don't realize they're changed. So thank you, James C., the Eon Duo, Barbara, let's see who else was in there. Peace L, thanks. Jabbery, thank you. Also, if you don't get a notice that we're live and you are all signed up for notifications with YouTube, I would highly recommend you reach out to YouTube about it. If enough people complain, maybe they'll fix their notification issue. So you can tweet them at Team YouTube, and also they do have a feedback address on their site, a feedback form you can fill out too, but I would encourage that as well. Thank you, get to the bottom of it. Thank you, Trump Sword, and Light Switch, Joe Easley, Gary Gagnon. And like I said, we're going to be on in a little bit. We're going to be on with another stream coming up soon on the event, on what's going on in Saudi Arabia today. So that's going to wrap this up for right now. I am Steve Lookner. This is Right Side Broadcasting. We hope you have a great rest of your day. We hope you join us in a little bit for our Saudi Arabia stream. But for now, this has been Right Side Broadcasting. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.